Valheim is a brutal exploration and survival game for 1 to 10 players set in a procedurally generated purgatory inspired by Viking culture. Battle, build, and conquer your way to a saga worthy of Odin's patronage. This freaking game has sold like 5 million copies in the first month, and we're going to talk about it. Coming up.
You ready?
It's been
Back
a
in
while.
the saddle?
I know, it's been a while. It's crazy. So hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fako Gamers. My name's Matt.
And I'm Matt.
And today we're going to talk about
Valheim.
Valheim.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty sweet so far.
yeah. Really quick, it's kind of been a while.
It's
since
been a
we've
long
done this.
time.
Lots happened. I don't know if you
I
guys...
grew a beard. I think you shaved yours.
I don't know if you guys were aware of this or not, but there's been a pandemic that happened
Yeah.
recently, for the last year.
Yeah.
And
That's why our viewers
killing them off.
Yep. Too soon, COVID.
All right. And I've moved and got a new job, so I've been kind of busy, but we're going to get back into it, I swear. So, as you notice, a little bit new location from where we've done this before in the past, too. But
hopefully you guys like it.
So,
You want to move along?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
All
get
right.
going. So, Valheim, what do you think?
Valheim.
We usually start with character creation. What do you
Character
think?
creation, it kind of leaves a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, you can say
You
that.
know, it's the characters are really pixelated. There's not a lot of
I'd say it's
there's not a lot of choices.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, it kind of fits though. It fits like the whole graphic thing that they have going on.
Yeah.
You know, so
It reminds me of like Albion, and how
Yes,
you just have this really generico looking character.
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, when I first turned that on and started playing it, I was like, oh, this is not.
yeah,
gonna be good.
yeah. That's what I was like. I was like, what is this? A step down
Yeah.
from Minecraft? I mean,
So-
it was kind of weird, but
Yeah, it's not. There's definitely not much to the character creation, but that's
Mhm.
not really what the game is about, though. So, and for those of you that don't know, it's kind of like a survival. I like to say it's like a combination of like maybe Rust meets Skyrim and Minecraft.
yeah. I would
Kinda
say
something
that's
like
fair.
that.
I'd say that's fair.
With a little bit of Monster Hunter, if you count the occasional bosses that you fight, the 5 bosses or
are
whatever.
sweet. Fighting the bosses are pretty freaking
Yeah.
epic. But so character creation,
Yeah, I would
not
say
too
that.
bad. But it's an alpha. I mean, you can't really
That is
blame
true,
them on
early
that. You know,
access.
as far as an alpha game though, like wow.
I know. I agree.
I was like, holy crap! They've got so much stuff in this game. It's ridiculous. Like, there's so many things you can do, and it's the depth that they've put into an alpha. I think if a company like this keeps going forward, you're gonna see a lot of good stuff from them.
I agree. I was very surprised at how much is in there. And kind of to move right on to the next point is like the graphics, because we touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's bizarre
It
because
is.
if you're zoomed in to something like your character or into a tree or something, it's like 16-bit Super NES graphics.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
They're not like I want to say they're kind of like these Final Fantasy characters almost. Like, they're very, voxy, pixelated, hard edges, but the further you zoom out, like the more
It blends together
blends.
into some of the most beautiful
It
landscapes I have
does.
seen in a video game
it
ever.
does. All of the biomes so far, the meadows and the Black Forest, the
Mountains, the swamps.
and the plains, even the ocean. I mean, the ocean. Talk about the ocean. Holy crap, dude! Like, I've never seen anything as good as water effects in.
No,
in
I
a
agree.
game.
Or the moonlight. Like, I've stopped literally mid-game to just look at the moon reflecting off of the water.
Or coming through like the branches.
Or
and
coming
stuff
through the
like that,
branches
you
and
see
stuff
them
like that,
reflecting off it's crazy. It's really good.
Yeah. So, as far as the graphics go, it's the weirdest combination of horrible graphics and the best thing I've ever seen. And even like the storms.
The
Like,
storms
it's,
are really
It's
sweet.
almost like all of the trees have their own physics. Like, a lot of games, the trees have their own animation that's just, the storm, so the
It
trees
just
do their animation.
repeats over and over.
But
It
these-
just kind of goes back and forth.
It's
It
like
does
wind
that.
is blowing through them, and they
you can
each...
see the wind effect.
Yeah.
Because those little white wisps everywhere. Those are wind. That's wind. That's the wind direction.
Yeah.
It takes effect when you're on the ocean.
Yes.
Like when you're on the ocean, you lower
need
your
to sail.
sails. You actually have to sail. But yeah, like you said, I remember we're heading down towards that swamp, and you're like, dude, turn around, check out this sunset.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we're on a mission here, for a minute. Like, we're trying to go kill some things, we're getting some stuff.
That's the
and I turn around and I'm just like, that's awesome, dude. I was like, holy crap, like that's pretty sweet.
That's the photographer in me.
So,
I like to just walk around and look at the different scenes in there. Something will catch my eye, and I'll wander off in that direction. But
the craziest looking storm effects, like. In a storm, you've got the wind blowing, and you hear like the rain hitting the grass or hitting the trees and stuff like that. And you've got the blades of grass starting to glisten with the water.
The water reflecting off the stuff.
It's blowing as fast as the wind is blowing. And it's swaying back and forth. Just
the lightning.
The lightning is really cool. Everything lights up and then just kind of gets really dark. Yeah, so it's weather effects are phenomenal.
It is. It's really cool. And one thing about it too that we kind of had started talking about a second ago, but like with the water, every other game I've ever played, even if the water changes or whatever, there's still like that invisible line of you're in the water, you're not in the water that never changes. Yeah. And on this, the tides like roll in, or if there's a storm, like if there's we built I built a little like shanty thing or whatever, like what I thought was safe up from the water. And then a storm came in and the water came up and it washed it, tsunami'd it all away, basically. Yeah. The water effects are really cool. And I think the way they did it is, I noticed it the other day, is you can walk like 4 or 5 feet into the water before you actually have to start swimming. Yeah. So you go down and you're not getting that wet debuff, so I don't think that it really thinks you're in the water until you're like 4 or 5 feet. Okay. So the water and the ground collision are completely different, so it's like overlapping almost. Up like this. So this is the water, this is the ground. But yeah, so it's really cool the way they did that. And like you said, like when you're parking your boats and stuff like that, you got to make sure that careful. If you're parking them when the tide is up and the tide goes down, you're going to wreck your boat. You're going to come back the next day like you run into your house and you sleep in the bed and you just hear things going on, and you hear the boat just and you're like, oh my God, like there's nothing you could do to get out of your bed to go fix it. But yeah, you wake up and your freaking boat is destroyed. But yeah, really cool. I love it, man. And I don't know if you've been out on the ocean in a storm, but those waves get huge, man. Yeah, they're just huge. They're massive, and it feels like you're riding a wave. It's really cool. So yeah, I definitely like the graphics and what they've done with them so far. Being an alpha build, I am like, everything about this game totally blows me away. I don't think I've ever played a game so early access where I was so amazed by it. Yeah. We picked that up separately. So I got the game and I didn't know Matt got it. And then I looked a couple of days later and Matt was playing it. Yeah. So I called him up. I'm like, hey, you got Valheim? Yeah. So we ended up hopping in and playing together. And we were like, I don't know what it was. This is before the hype even. Like when I bought it, there was probably only like 500 or 700 reviews on Steam. So that was the crazy thing, is I started watching it on Steam and in the news and everything like that. And it was, so when I bought it, like I just was browsing through and was like, oh, open world survival. I got sick of Rust. Yeah. Because I was getting killed every 5 seconds by some idiots. So I was like, oh, this is, single player or up to 10 people. Not bad. Not a lot of griefers basically that can jump in there and just destroy you. So I was like, okay, I'll do that and I'll just get it. And probably 2 days later, I think, after I got it, I started playing it. And then Matt was like, oh, you got Valheim. So did I. That's awesome. But yeah, it's just, it's crazy for an alpha game to have so much without error. Yeah. Without flaw. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's no wonder it blew up like it did. Yeah. It went from like 500 reviews on Steam to like 1 million to like 3 days later, 4.5 million copies. Players. Yeah. Million copies sold of the game. Just unreal. So, love it when a developer puts out a game and they get recognized for something like that. And you know what I mean? What's really cool about it, because I haven't had this. One thing that's really cool about it is we don't know anything about it. So when we're playing, all of these things are catching us by surprise, which is almost a thing. There's probably going to be some spoilers here, so don't just be aware. Yeah. Because honestly, some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about here are things that, by catching them by surprise, were awesome. And I'll put a link in the description. You can skip to the pros and cons because I'm going to start talking about spoilers here.
Yeah.
So, all of the things when we summoned the first
that was awesome.
god or whatever it was,
the Elkthyr.
Yeah, the Elkthyr.
Yeah.
So we summoned that, and all of a sudden there's this giant deer shooting lightning out of its
crashing
antlers.
Through trees. Are falling everywhere.
So we're like, oh my god, that's awesome. And then so we go through and we find the second boss, and we actually have a video on our channel of me dying to that.
That was pretty funny.
We summoned that, and we're just like, what the hell? Like it just. All of these things in this game are just catching us off guard. Yeah. Like, what were you saying? Because I wasn't there when it happened, but with the island or whatever.
Oh, the island. So I'm just sailing around, and I see these two little like dome islands almost sticking out of the ocean. And I'm like, I see like this weird rock on it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go see if I can mine it. You know, maybe get something cool. Maybe it's a different ore or something I can learn to create something. So I jump on it, and when I jump on it, it kind of like groans a little bit, just like, you know. And I'm like, okay, this is some sort of monster or whatever. It's going to eat me if I start hacking at these things. So I start chipping away, and I get some abyssal shards or something, and I break one of the veins, you know, and then the whole thing just starts shaking. Just, and I'm like, holy shit! My boat's over here. It's getting knocked against the waves, and the water's flying up, and so then it kind of settles down a little bit, and I'm like, this thing's going to get me at some point if I keep going. So I push the limit, and I go, I start hacking at it again. I get some more shards, and then this thing just starts going crazy. It starts going up and down and moaning and groaning. And so I run off, and I jump to my boat. And I just take off, and I see this thing just start rocking in the ocean, and the waves are going everywhere, and then it just sinks, gone. And there's another one right next to it. I'm like, maybe I should go over there or not.
Did you?
No, hell no. I went around. It just scared the crap out of me, man. Like I jumped on there, and it was just like, it reminded me of that the giant tortoise in Neverending Story.
Oh, okay.
In the swamp?
Yeah.
So that's what it looked like, just the big dome.
Really?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it was just like, and I was like, this is it, dude. This is the turtle. It's going to eat me. But yeah, so I jumped on my boat, and I took off out of there, took what I had gathered, and brought it back. So, yeah. It was just, I mean, even the first time we saw a troll. You know, and then we saw the trolls with the tree branches in their arms, and they're just swinging it and knocking trees down. And
so things I like about this kind of, so it's a go gather resources and craft stuff, and there's no story, there's no NPCs really that we've discovered.
Just a minor
so far.
Story.
There is a minor story, yes, but there's not like a quest line that where you're following. But yes, there is a minor story to it.
Yep.
But what's really neat about it is like you cut down a tree, and that tree can damage you. It'll fall over and roll onto you, so you got to be careful about that. So like the things they did with that, the trolls, like when we first discovered them, they're these big dudes. And the first one we had was hurling boulders at us. So we're running and shooting, and then the next one, or later, we find a different one that's basically carrying a tree trunk as a bat or a claw. Yeah. And it's just swinging. and its reach is huge, and it's knocking over all these other trees and everything else. And it was.
And they attacked our city. They attacked our fort.
That's right. They've come in and attacked our little fort. The world is so like interactive with stuff like that. It's neat that there's destruction when they do those kind of things. It's a voxel-based world, so you can dig into the ground and all this other stuff.
Terraform,
And when you build things, you have to have proper structure on them, or else they'll collapse over time.
So I read a thread on Reddit about that, how to create a house and stuff like that. And a lot of people were saying they would get so far up, and then the roofs would cave in, or their walls would give out or something like that. And everybody's talking about having to build structure, and these like construction guys are on there, and they're like, yeah, man, I play this game. And he's like, I got to set up like a whole network of beams and stuff like that. And I'm like, what the hell? Like we literally threw ours up, and I think it was okay. Everything kind of stayed.
Yeah, we got a two-story house. We had a little bit of issues at first, but it didn't take long to kind of figure it out. When you look at stuff, it'll show if it's like green, yellow, orange. Red. The closer to red it gets, the less amount of support it has. So if something's red and you attach another thing to it, it's probably they're both going to collapse.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, the game's super cool. decent amount of, for an alpha game, a decent amount of like enemies. Not a lot in each zone,
Right.
but when you go to a different zone, you get, or a new biome, you get different things there. But tons of gameplay, well worth it, man.
Dungeons?
Yeah, there's little instance
dungeons.
Well, I guess they're not instance necessarily,
It's
like to
weird.
where other people can come into them.
Right, yeah.
So it's not your own instance, but it's like so it'd be a loading screen or whatever to get into the dungeons, I guess.
Right,
but,
yeah. Just, it's quick, though.
Yeah. But
You know.
but they're super cool. They're fun to explore.
Yeah.
There's only a few games in my life where it's been like this whole new, like where something has felt new and exciting and whatever. And it was, believe it or not, Minecraft was one of them.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Back in the day when we first started playing Minecraft, World of Warcraft was one. Like the first time released into that just enormous world, and this feeling of adventure and excitement and stuff like that I got from that. Valheim gives me that feeling.
Yeah.
Like
there's a lot of things I think we don't know about because we're not reading the wikis.
Yeah, we're staying out all that. We're
stuff.
just playing it, figuring it out as we play it.
Yeah, and I like reading these stories like on Reddit and stuff. People having issues and they're trying to talk it out and that kind of stuff, and it's pretty funny because I mean it's a relatively new game. It's what, like maybe a month old?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So and then it just kind of blew up. So
yeah, super cool.
Very, very worth the money. Very worth the
very
cost.
worth the money.
Very worth the cut. It is completely worth the cost.
And there was something else too. Like so you basically, there's no classes.
Right.
You don't pick like I'm and it's all low fantasy. Like there's not a ton of magic and stuff like that. There's a little bit like with some of the dwarf shaman and stuff. But for the most part,
you get your ability,
your
power from killing the boss.
Yeah, but it's kind of low fantasy. There's not a ton of magic and stuff like that. But you gain your skills. Like for anyone that's played, like that's why I say it's kind of like Skyrim. Because the more you use your longsword, the more you're going to improve your abilities with the sword. Same thing with axing, or like RuneScape. Anyone that's played that game, but it's similar in that effect. Is if you jump more, you're going to get better at jumping. If you swim more, you're going to get better at swimming.
It's like, dude, who puts that in there? Jumping. You know, like that's the skill. I've got my archery. I've got my swords and my pole arms.
But it matters when you're running. When you're running away and you have no stamina. When you jump and half your stamina bar goes away, you're like, I gotta get away.
Yeah.
So and then when you die, you lose a little bit of experience in some of your skills, and you drop all your crap. So you gotta go back and get it.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's like a despawn timer at all either.
What do you mean?
Like if your gear would actually despawn?
I haven't witnessed it yet. We've left it out there for quite some time. Yeah. So not yet.
Yeah, when I died up in the mountains.
Yeah. Or when I died on the Elder.
Oh, yeah. That was like
a long trek
45-minute run back. Yeah. Yeah. So the world is definitely huge.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't even explored maybe a quarter of it.
I wouldn't even say that. Yeah. We've played a ton and I don't feel like we've explored that much of the world. So it's a big world.
It is pretty big.
Cool. So what do you think? You want to move on to pros and cons?
Pros and cons?
All right.
Alrighty.
Let's do it.
I'm down.
I got mine written down on my trusty little cellular phone here.
My pocket notepad.
Okay, so do you want to go first or do you want me to?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Pros?
Yeah.
Okay. My pro number one is the graphics.
Yep.
They're strangely pixelated.
Yep.
Up close, but they get more focused the further you get away. So, and it all, like you said perfectly, it blends the further you get out.
Yeah.
And like even the draw distance, everything in the background looks the way it should, or you would think that it would in that type of art style.
You know, something we didn't mention too is it's got focal points. So wherever you're looking, if you look at something, if you're pointed your crosshair at something close, that'll come into focus and everything else blurs.
Yeah.
So if you're like a photographer or something like that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But if you look at something far away, that comes into focus and the stuff up front blurs, and it really gives you that depth and that realism that you don't get in a lot of games like that. So that's super cool. I put lighting specifically for the graphics as my first pro, because I love the graphics. I think they're awesome, but for me it's specifically that lighting. I don't know the way, like the waves with the moonlight reflecting off of that, I thought was one of the coolest things I've seen.
The dark forest at night.
Yeah.
You can see a good moonlight coming through, dude. It's creepy because they also do like a fog effect on the ground at some places, and
or their eyes, the guy's eyes,
the glowing eyes. I love that. So pro number 2 for me is combat. I think the combat is very impactful. The hits matter. They feel like they matter. You see their health bar go down, but the guys actually reel back.
Yep.
You can get crits if you do, multiple hits in a row.
Or sneaking up behind them.
Sneaking up behind them. There's, the sneak factor in the game. There's a bunch of, handful of different weapons, and each weapon has its own different play style.
Yep.
And then, you could do like the tank and DPS. There's no heal at all yet.
Right.
So
I actually 100% agree. My number 2 on there was combat as well. And the thing that I like about it, it's almost, you said everything very well. Everything feels impactful. And what I like, there's games that we've played before. Borderlands suffers from this, and Division and stuff like that, where things kind of become bullet sponges in order to make them harder. They just give them 1 billion hit points. There's not a lot of that. No. Like, you feel like every arrow, even if it takes you a while to kill something, it's a lot of running and dodging and things hitting trees down and getting out of the way of that, and managing your stamina and stuff like that. And every attack that you do, every arrow that you shoot off feels like this is making a meaningful impact on the amount.
Until you get to the bosses.
The
bosses, they can be a little bit hit point spongy. But there's so much going on that it takes away from it.
If we were able to spam attacks on them, I don't think it would feel so bad. Because that's where, like I said, things like Division and Borderlands and stuff, you're just nonstop.
No, I agree.
So... Yeah. No, I agree with combat. That was my number 2 as well. What is your number 3?
My number 3 are the weather effects. The rain's amazing. It just looks like rain should in that art style. Like they've done everything so well according to this art style that everything flows together.
I agree.
The lightning storms.
Yep.
Probably one of the best I've felt in a game.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're in a storm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You do.
You feel we wear the headsets and you hear it, coming down around you, and then you see the lightning streak across the sky and that kind of thing.
Yep.
And then, the weather effects as far as like the waves at night or waves in a storm, I think just phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with all that. I put, for my number 3, I just put like the exploration and adventure. And it kind of goes back to what I said. I haven't felt this way since playing WoW or Minecraft or something like that. Just to where I am very rarely anymore, because I've just played so many different games or whatever, very rarely does a game pull me in to where I'm like, I want to see what's over this corner. I got to go check this out. Like get off task or off course or whatever.
It's funny that you say that, is that your wife, I was talking to her about it, and she said it's funny and it's rare when a game makes you think about it when you're not playing. And I was like, that's stupid, because it's so true. Because that day, it was when we went down to Grand Rapids.
Okay.
That day I was driving down and I was like, when I get back, I need to do this.
Yep.
And I need to work on this. And then I was just like, oh my God, just stop thinking about it. You're not playing it.
Yep.
Wait till you get home. And then she's like, I was thinking about it all the time.
Yep.
Like, so very good. Yeah. I thought that was well put. So,
all right.
But for sure.
On to cons.
Cons are a little difficult because it's such a different style.
I agree.
Altogether, but I've got some I can go.
Okay, I will go. First con, character creation. We kind of talked about it to begin with.
Yeah.
There's just not a ton to it. It's not. I'm kind of reaching for cons here because I like the game a ton. If you haven't figured that out yet, but if you're into character creation, they might as well just give you a character. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
preset, pre-generated type thing.
So that is a con that I have.
Yeah.
So
I do like that they kind of give you a little bit of
there's a little bit
sway, male, female. You can even put beards on the females. Yeah. So I had to try that out. That was pretty funny. My first con is there's a lack of different creatures. Different creature variants. There's, they've got the, what do they call them? I call them treants. The gray dwarfs.
Oh, yeah.
So there's gray dwarfs, ogres, wolves, dragons, werewolf, rock, stone golem.
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about was the sea serpents or whatever.
The sea serpent. Sea serpent.
So out in the ocean. And
but there's like mainly 2 or 3 different
Per
creatures
biome.
per biome.
I agree.
And with the 5 biomes, it's only 15 creature types. You know what I mean? So if that continues on, you know what I mean? But it is alpha, and they can throw whatever the heck they want in there. But the thing is that anytime you kill a creature, they drop something, and you can use that in some sort of crafting. So I don't know. I mean, it could go either way.
Yeah.
Once it fully releases, I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah. So, my number 2 for my cons is multiplayer glitchiness. We have
Sometimes
we have had some issues like to where so we're playing with my daughter.
Yeah.
And we went through and did this whole fight, like fighting trolls and this other stuff. She was like, what, 3 minutes behind?
That was pretty funny. She's describing this fight.
Everything that happened 3 minutes prior.
that already took place.
But for her, it's in real time. It's almost like an Einstein space-time
continuum. Some weird matrixy, like this already happened type thing. You know, because we're like, we just lived that.
Yeah.
Like, no, he just
it's happening right now.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, here comes Dad. Here comes Dad.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. We're already back at our base, licking our wounds.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh my god!" We're like, "What's going on?" But yeah, I think that was relatively early on.
Yeah. Hey, we had to. I fixed by rebooting the server.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's with a continuous server like we have going on. I think ground clutter kind of adds up, and you have to kind of get rid of some of that memory dumping. You know what I mean? But yeah, that.
So we have had some issues with a little bit of that. So.
That was pretty funny.
What's your next con?
The stealthiness, like the stealth in the game. I like that they put it in. They even put an armor set in for it to give you a bonus. It's not as good as I would hope for as a stealth.
I actually like it.
Do you really?
Yeah, I would almost put that as a pro for me because
really?
I have not on the animals. Because it's really hard to sneak up like on deer, but if but you can get stealth hits on deer if they don't see you with a bow.
Well, yeah, for sure.
But like some of those weapons do like 10 times damage.
Right.
And remember that one troll I almost one shot?
Yeah, by poking it in the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I like that it's there.
I did like the stealth.
I like that it's there. I just think that they could do a little bit more with it.
That's fair.
You know, but I'm reaching in for cons.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's fine.
I usually or typically like to play stealth characters in video games, and this wasn't one of my favorite stealth type things. But it's not, the game isn't built around that.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
True. It's a mechanic in there, but it's not built around it.
Right.
I actually think that the stealth has, I like the payoff for the hit. Most games, when you get a stealth hit, it's like 2 or 3 times damage or whatever. But these stealth hits are pretty amazing.
Some of them can be you can one-shot some things and stuff like that. I do like the damage increase, but even if you're not stealthing, you can still do it as long as they don't notice you.
Right.
So if you're far away and you're good with your bow,
That's true.
You can shoot an arrow up and one-shot a creature without even being stealth.
Yep.
So...
On to
number 3.
Did you do your second
I did my
con?
second one. I did my second one.
So my number 3 con here is, and this is, like I said, we're kind of reaching for stuff, but in multiplayer, because that's almost primarily how we play, we have some friends coming. Now, this won't apply like 99% of people because we have our own persistent server and we kind of have a lot of people playing it.
Yeah.
There have been times when you log in and like your chest like stuff is gone from it or whatever. It'd be nice if like in Rust or whatever, if you could lock your doors and only give certain people keys. Can you do that?
They have it. It's a rune that you can make, and you just set it in your house and it locks all of your doors and all of your chests.
Really?
So nobody can get in. Yeah.
Oh, well then
there you go.
Scratch that con. I didn't know about that.
No con.
When did you
it's
find
a
that
rune. When I started making the portals. Because you use the same things to make the portals as you do to make the rune. But I just never threw it up because I mean it's a friendly server anyway.
It is. It's not a big gripe, but like we have me and Matt and my wife, 2 kids playing it, and then their friends are playing in there as well. So that's when like someone will just kind of want, like Jason. Yeah, it's Jason in Discord. It showed up and said, "I looted everybody or someone's stuff. I think I put it all back." He thought it was part of the tutorial of the game. He just kind of wandered to someone's stuff and then realized he was stealing our crap. But So that's my number 3 con. What's yours?
That's your number 3. My number 3 are the effing deer. Like, Jesus, man. Could you have come up with a more annoying sound? I mean, you need to kill them, and they need to be, like, plentiful. But
They
Jesus,
sound
like dying
like
dogs.
seal
Like,
dogs
they
or something.
do. And the boar. The boar is another one,
Yeah.
man. The boar, if you get
I
close
can't believe
to
I
a boar,
didn't think of that. You're right,
they
though.
scare the shit out of me every single time. They sound like dragons, dude. Like, I'm walking through the forest at night, and I just hear, I'm like, oh my God. And then I start running, and it's just a boar. So, I mean, yeah. The sound effects.
That's true, though.
That's
I
it,
should
though.
have.
Just those two creatures.
That should have been my
That
number 3
whole
con,
game,
because those deer
two
are so
creatures.
annoying. I
The
can't believe I didn't think of that.
The deer and the boar. Like, I'll be running through the forest, and we're playing, and I'm just like, Gah! I'm like, what the hell? And Matt's like, what? I'm like, another dragon boar. But yeah, so you're just those two sound effects. The rest of the sound effects sound pretty good. The dragons sound good. The wolves howling and stuff like that. I don't think you've heard the wolves yet.
No, not yet.
So the wolves howl like in the distance, and then they gather as packs. It's crazy. The stone golem I don't think you've seen is really good. He just kind of comes up out of the ground, so the whole ground starts shaking, and then he just comes up and he starts charging at you and swiping and stuff. Yeah, the drakes they'll do like a little hissy howl type thing, that kind of thing. I don't think I've seen any other ones that you haven't. The Durger, the leeches,
seen them.
the leeches,
Yeah,
the
and
Durger,
the
the slimes, those little fire dudes.
Yeah,
those are pretty cool too. So, yeah, those effing deer, they're so loud and they're so obnoxiously annoying. So kill every single one.
So you know what we didn't talk about beforehand, because it's been so long since we've done this, is I didn't come up. No. I was gonna say a rating for the game here.
Oh, rating, yeah, I
So-
got it.
Do you? Did you come up with one?
No,
Oh,
but I
okay.
got it.
Okay. Well, you go first then.
Oh, okay. I would probably give this game in its alpha state a 8 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah,
All right.
I would give it 5 screeching deer. I said 8, right? And
Yeah.
3 dragon boars scaring the shit out of me.
Okay. I actually would give this a 9 out of 10, and it would be 9 leafy troll ass hairs.
Oh God. 9 tree. That's probably about as many as they have too. But they've got the armpit hair too. It's so funny.
It's like vines.
It's disgusting.
All right, so thank you guys for joining us on the Thaco Gamers as we talk about Valheim. Feel free to leave any comments about the game that you'd like to below. You can like this video.
That's right.
You can subscribe to our channel if you haven't done that yet. You make sure you tell everyone about the Thaco Gamers. Make sure that you post on all of your social media about the Thaco Gamers. What's something else you can do to share?
Back.
Yeah. If you happen to be a pilot, you can skywrite Thaco Gamers, our web address in the sky. So
if you're a graffiti artist,
artist.
If you are a graffiti artist and you do graffiti Thaco Gamers, I want a picture of it. Send it to us on Twitter,
and we will put it on here for sure.
We'll put it in our videos. We will do anything.
We should ask for that every video until that happens.
That would be sweet.
So thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time when we talk about whatever we talk about.